Reddit, what's your top, holy shit, that worked moment? 1. I had a laptop slide backwards off my lap, hit the floor and stop working. Showed me an error screen and wouldn't start back up. Decided to turn it over and drop it from the same height, onto its opposite side. Why not, it's already broken, right? And it started working again. 2. I work on costumes in theater in NYC. About 2 years ago I was sitting in the front row of a show, and a button popped off one of the costumes. The next day I took it back to the stage door, with my resume, and a little note that said, "This came off one of the costumes yesterday, and I thought you might want it back. And while I have your attention, here is my resume." And that is the story of how I got my first job on a Broadway show. 3. One time a bird got caught in our chimney, and while me and my roommate discussing how to get it out, he suggested we stick our hand up there and the bird will just land on our finger. I laughed at him and said it would never work. Within 30 seconds he was walking to the door with a bird perched on his pointer finger. 4. I had the infamous red rings of death for an old Xbox 360 at one point. Called up a buddy, he told me to turn it off, hold it about 1.5 feet above the floor, and just drop it. I figured that I couldn't make it much worse, so I dropped it. Worked perfectly ever since. 5. I once showed up 8 hours late for work. My company was trying out this crazy 3-shift schedule that would change every day, but there was no order to the scheme. If you didn't check what the manager put out that day, no one knew when they should be at work the next day. So after a hard shift, I forget to check that bad boy, and when I came in the next day expecting to arrive at the shift change, everyone was at their desks working away. Someone sees me and asks, "Hey, did you get moved to this shift?" I picked up a clipboard and said, "No, just here to inspect." I spent about 10 minutes walking around the office just nodding or scribbling notes before I went home. Not only did I not work that day, one of the managers thought it was awesome that someone was checking up on projects. 6. In college I had one class where the professor was very disorganized. He was always losing shit and forgetting to grade stuff. It was a small class, so there were only 7 of us, and we decided to do an experiment. On the day of an exam, we tried to gaslight him into thinking we had already done the test, so we asked him if he had graded the exam already. And being the disorganized mess that he was, he said yes. So that day we never took the exam, and a few weeks later everyone received a 100 score. His explanation was that he couldn't find the exam papers, but was sure everyone studied hard and did a good job.